NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place to tune in. Tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family. What's popping with your Knicks family? A couple of weeks ago, actually before the playoffs, my man Tony Crow gave me a call. He said, yo, I want to run something by you. He said, how would you feel about the Knicks convincing Chris Paul to opt out of his deal, and then the Knicks give him a multi-year deal? I was like, Tony, you bugging, man. Come on. Chris Paul's not opting out of $44 million. No lie. That's exactly what I said to him. A couple days ago, week ago, whatever it was, the rumor comes out that Chris Paul may be opting out of $44 million. So we need to have this discussion. I got my man Tony Crow here, and Nate stopped by to have this discussion with us. Tony Crow, what's popping, man? I don't know if you had, some kind of prophecy ball next to you, or you were reading cards or whatever it was, but you was on point with it. You was on point with it, man.
So, yeah, I had sat with it for about a day and a half before I called you, and I'm like, I gotta call Sim, see what he thinks about this. So my logic was, obviously we know the relationship Chris Paul, Leon Rose. We heard the rumors prior to the season he would have came to New York. He just wanted the full New York experience, meaning the fans in the Garden. And then I asked myself, he gets this $44 million next year. What is his max that he would get in the open market? So I'm like, somewhere maybe $15 million, maybe a team $20 million for that 1 year. So my logic was, what if we offer him a Gordon Hayward type contract? 3 years, 90, 4 year, 120, put a player option in there, put a team option in there. That's a lot more money than you're going to be getting in the open market after that $44 million. And if you add it all up, it's even more than what you would get keeping that $44 million and getting another $20 million the year after, or something in that range. So that was my logic.
Mm-hmm.
And, I wanted Chris Paul before he went from Houston to OKC, and nobody wanted to touch the contract then. But I just knew this guy, he's a proven leader. He's the definition of what a point guard should be. And then, after seeing what he did in OKC, it just solidified my point of who he could be for us. So that was my logic, and that's where I was coming from, with that suggestion. And here we are with it coming out that he's probably going to opt out for a long-term deal. So
I go buy a lotto ticket, Tony.
Huh?
Time to go buy a lotto ticket.
I should have been.
Right,
But,
right. See, my question is this. And look, this is what Chris Paul makes in 2021, 2022. And this is a player option, ladies and gentlemen. All right, he makes $44,211,146. That's what he is scheduled to make next year if he picks up his option. But the rumor is that he'll opt out for maybe a 3-year deal, right? Where he'll, over the lifetime of that 3-year deal, he'll make more than $44 million. And so I guess the question is, let's say he doesn't opt out, he gets that $44 million next season. What will he demand on the market when he becomes a free agent after next season? Is he going to get $20 million a year? 25, 15? And I guess that's what he's looking at. And him and his people are evaluating what his value will be on the open market. And if these rumors are true, then they must have said, you're only going to get about $15 million on the open market, which is going to be $45 million. Let's see if we can, since we have the upper hand now, get a 3-year deal, $20 million a year for the next 3 years, where you make more money. I mean, whatever they, and maybe my numbers are wrong there, maybe, but whatever they came up with to say this is your value and what you'd probably get on the open market, you're going to make more money if you opt out and sign a longer deal.
Think about it, son. If his max is $20 million after coming off the 44, and he signs a 2-year deal, so now you're talking total 3 years, $84 million. 3 years,
so, $84 million. If he signed a 2-year deal at $20 million a year, that's 3 years, 84.
So if
altogether,
if somebody's willing to do 3 years, 90 right off the jump, like right now, if he declines, that's another. You know what I mean?
That's another $2 million.
Yeah.
That's another $2 million. If someone says, yeah, we'll give you 3 years, $30 million a year for 3 years, that's another $2 million. I'm just trying to figure out, is he going to make that much more money by taking a 3-year deal, but for less money? That's what I'm trying to figure out, right? By declining that option. And to me, in order to make that, for me, in order to make it worth it, I feel like you'd have to be taking, I guess you're right. You know what I mean? Even if you're making $2 million more, you're making $2 million more.
And no, that's $6 million, because you figured you got 40 for the 2 extra years plus 44.
Right, that's so 84. That's 88. But if you do 3 years, $30 million 84. A year. Well, 84. 84. Yeah, you're right. So 84.
That's an extra 6.
So that's an extra 6.
That's if you guaranteed to make another 2-year, $40 million contract.
Right.
It may be 15. You know what I mean?
But yeah, now if it's 15,
are you making even more?
No, you'd be making less. If it's 2 years, $15 million?
No, 2 years, like 15 per. So you say, like what do you think Chris Paul's value is after this next year?
That's the question. I think that's the question, right? Because like you said, if it's 2 years, if it's 2 years, $40 million, right? $20 million a year, 2 years, $40 million, plus the $44 million, that's $84 million. If he does 2 years, $30 million at $15 million a year, then that goes down now $74 million over 3 years. Right?
So
if that's after, after that $44 million. So yeah, I guess if he can net a contract of 3 years, $30 million per year, 3 years, $90 million, he might be making out good for one last big contract, and maybe it's the way to go.
So my question is it really about the money with him, or is it more about just wanting a long-term deal to finish his career? Like, he seems like he still wants to play for the next 3 or 4 years. So, I mean, I don't know. If you're opting out at $44 million,
it's about both. Think about it. If he takes his player option, he's guaranteed $44 million next year.
Right.
But what's not guaranteed? And I don't want to wish that on anybody, and I definitely don't want to wish it on him with us pursuing him.
Right.
Health is never guaranteed.
Right.
Sure.
So what you're doing is you're saying I'm gonna turn down this 44. I'm gonna take this 3 years 90, and that's on a high note for me, but still 3 years 90. That's 30 million per. So you're giving up 15 for this first year, but you're guaranteed another 60 million afterwards.
Right. No, I get it. Now, if I'm Chris Paul and I'm doing that, there's no way I'm looking at a team option.
I was thinking a team option on the 4th year, player option on the second. I mean, second or third.
Okay. A team option on the 4th year. Okay. Yeah. There would have to be at least a team. If he's going to allow a team option, it would have to be on the 4th year. It couldn't be on the 3rd year. Right? Because then the team would just, boom, opt him out, and then now he's out of money. You know what I mean?
And part of my logic, Sim, was Gordon Hayward got 4 years, 120, with a more gracious injury history.
True.
You know what I mean? And less of a proven track record as far as, let's say, working with others,
right,
or improving teams.
Right. No, there's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that at all. All right. So, would you pursue, if you're the Knicks, I'll start with you, Nate. Would you pursue Chris Paul at $30 million a year for 3 years? So that's $90 million. Would you pursue him at 3 years, $90 million?
How old is CP3?
Right now, how old is Chris Paul?
36, 37.
Chris Paul is, I think he is 36 years old. He just turned 36 in May, I believe.
Okay.
So if you're talking 3 years, he'll be 39 years old at the end of that 3rd year.
He's 39, right? He's at 36, right?
He's 36 right now. He'd be 39 at the end of that 3rd year.
Whew. Oh, man. Well, if anybody can play to 39, it's CP3. I mean, for the most part, we talk about injuries, but, knock on wood, he hasn't sustained any, really the major like knee injuries or back injury, anything really, really serious. At 30 million. Oof. Yeah. I mean, I think I would. And I'll tell you why. Because honestly, for me, again, back to what I said before, I don't know if the Knicks are going to be able to lure anybody of high caliber to this team. It seems like a lot of the good players are going to stay at home, with their team. Giannis is going to stay with the Bucks for the most part. Some of these other free agents are probably just going to re-up or join a super team. So if CP3 is your best player acquisition, I mean, yeah, you got to go for it, man. I mean, he's a hell of a point guard. He's a complete point guard. Probably one of the best point guards we've had in the last 10 years that I've seen. The guy does everything. And if anything, this sounds kind of funny, but when he retires, man, become a coach on Tibbs' staff.
No, I mean, listen, there's no
him because he's going to be a coach somewhere. I guarantee.
There's no doubt about that. He's going to be a coach somewhere. There's no doubt about that. Tony, let me ask you: do you get scared or nervous? And we know his track record of helping teams become successful. But do you get nervous that at some point it's going to run out? He's not going to be able to do it.
The reason I don't is because of the type of player he is. He's not an athlete. He's not athletic. He's not above the rim. Never was. The stuff that he does is all basketball IQ. You talk about maximizing your talent. That's what he's done his entire career. Small guy. I don't even like small point guards like that. Like, I really don't.
But he's
I
not really
prefer-
small. He's pretty stocky, man. He's pretty built.
He's tiny and never been a defensive liability. Like that's one of the things about Chris Paul is pound for pound. When you talk about pound for pound, like he's a pound for pound player. You rate him. You don't look at his size because he does so much with his talent, but he's small. I wouldn't be worried about it because the way Rose had to reassess his game and readjust after his injuries, Chris Paul's never had to do that. So I think if like they said, if a guy can play into his 40s and still be successful, he may not be starting after 2 years, but what he gives you right now, it's priceless. You're not gonna get that. You're gonna get that from maybe 2 other point guards in the league.
Let me. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Nate. Go ahead.
So I want to throw this out there because as good as Chris Paul is, I feel like, let's take the Suns team, for example. Chris Paul is a hell of a point guard. There's no doubt about that. But look at the talent that's around him. Ayton, Booker, Miles Bridges. I mean, you've got shooters, you've got defenders, you've got wing players, you've got athletic bigs. You've got a lot of talent surrounded with Chris Paul. So my thing is, if you're going to sign Chris Paul to $30 million a year, you sure as hell better surround more talent with Chris Paul as far as shooters or athletic people, because the truth is the process is going to be moved up. I mean, you're committing $30 million to Chris Paul. You're basically saying the time is now. It's no longer wait and see. We got to win now, because you got Randall, who's 27 or something like that. He'll be 30 by the end of his contract. CP3 will be 39. I mean, and RJ will be in his prime, which is good. But I mean, you're gonna have to win now, because if you have, it's like when the Lakers signed LeBron. When they signed LeBron, they knew that, hey, we have a window of 3 or 4 years to win a chip. And after that, it's over. He's going to pursue other things. He's already looking at other things. But you have a 3 to 4 window to pursue it if you get a chip. That's basically what you're saying if you sign CP3.
Here's the thing, Nate, no matter who we sign, no matter what transpires between now and the start of next season, guess what? It's going to be win now.
Yeah, no, I agree.
No matter who
but what I'm saying, is more, yeah.
It's gonna be win now, and if you have a guy like CP3, of course the goalpost is raised.
Sure.
Listen, I agree, right? You bring in CP3, the goalpost is going to be raised, but like you said, anyone that the Knicks bring in, and the Knicks are not looking this summer to play around. I think they're looking to bring in talent and find a dominant player. That's just what I think. I believe that they're looking to bring in a dominant player. Nate was asking it earlier. I'm going to ask you again. If CP3 opts out, why would he choose New York over Phoenix? Over staying in Phoenix? Assuming that Phoenix is willing to pay him the money, why would he choose New York over Phoenix when the Suns they could be in the Western Conference Finals, they could be in the NBA Finals?
Yeah, why would he choose the next 5 or 6 years? They got a set team. I mean, they just got to add a little more pieces.
Right. Why would he choose the Knicks?
You asking me or you asking Nate? Because I think Nate kind of has the same question.
Yeah. I'm asking you, Tone. Why would he choose the Knicks?
I mean, again, back to what I said. CP3 is like a teacher. He likes those challenges. He's going to be a coach in the future. There's no doubt about that in my mind. He might accept the challenge of playing in New York because it's a bigger market. They know that New York hasn't won in a minute. You know, it's been a long time, and this might be the ultimate challenge for him because he understands that you win in New York, they're going to erect a statue outside the Madison Square Garden. It don't matter how many years you play with New York. You win them a chip, you're good, bro. you're a Knick for life. I mean, hell, they might even retire his number. I mean, I don't know what number 3 is.
I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. But he has a better chance right now, at least, of winning a chip in Phoenix than in New York.
Oh, for sure. Trust me, man. I'm the first one to tell you. I don't think he's leaving Phoenix. I think what's going to happen is if he does let's say he changes his mind, opts in for that $44 million. I think Phoenix restructures a deal with him, a long-term deal, and they say this is the guy we want to keep. He's got this young core, and hey, we can ride him all the way till he's ready to retire, and then hopefully by then we'll find a point guard to replace him or supplant him. But if I'm Phoenix, I re-signed him to a long-term deal. Yeah. I mean what he's brought to the table and as good as they've been, I mean,
Right. I mean,
makes no sense.
I don't want to say the only way, but one of the ways for them to reward him with a long-term deal is for him to opt out and then, jump into a longer deal. Now, without him hitting, well, I guess if he opts out, he's still going to hit the free agent market. Obviously,
but with the idea he's going to resign.
Right. Obviously, he could take the $44 million and then they say, hey, we'll give you what you want for the next, or we'll give you a fair deal for the next 3 years. They could do that as well. They could find a way to lock him up early under the table, and who knows, maybe they already have, because when you think about it, it's like, why would he opt out of $44 million if he didn't know?
If he knows that, like, if the deal's coming. Exactly.
That he has a nice deal on the table. So something, transpired somewhere.
Somebody's going to pay him.
Where he has an idea that, he'd get a certain amount of money that he's cool with. That could come from Phoenix. That could come from anybody else. But, Tony, I want you to answer that question. Why would he choose New York over Phoenix?
Well, number one, I would go back to the relationship with Leon Rose. I think that will have a large thing to do with it. So it's funny because Leon Rose was his agent, right?
Yeah.
So he already knows what Chris Paul wants. He already knows how long of a deal Chris Paul wants. How much money he's willing to take. What he's willing, he knows all the inner workings of what moves Chris Paul.
That's true.
Whether it's money, whether it's location, whether like whatever it is that moves him, he already knows the inner workings of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the communication is going to be easy. The transition is going to be easy. So as far as why would Chris Paul do it, it's New York. It's the bright lights. It's the big city. I think we have just the goodest chance if Suns win the championship of signing him than we do if they don't win the championship.
Well, you might have a better chance if they win the championship, to be honest with you.
I agree.
You think he's done his job,
but and then money. If it comes down to outbidding, we have the money to do it. If it really comes down to money, like no matter what he wants, we can give it to him. The only thing we can't give him is if he wants to be in Phoenix.
Yeah,
right.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Who's got a better team? Who's got a better team? Let's be real.
A better team in the West in a situation right now where this is their best opportunity. I don't know if they have a better opportunity next year to win. You got the Lakers eliminated. You got Denver, who they're playing now, who's
banged up,
injured their best player. That they're banged up. I think they have a favorable matchup, particularly with Aiden and Jokic. Not saying Aiden's better, but he's going to be the toughest challenge that Jokic faces in this playoffs, whether they advance or not.
But see, my argument would be that they have their young players locked up. They have a superstar in Devin Booker. I mean, you want to talk about the Lakers? Fine. LeBron James is going to be done probably by next year. And AD cannot run this team by himself. He's already shown that he's injury prone, and he's not, in my opinion, he's not a 1. He plays more like a 2. So I mean, I think the Suns could run the table for the next 5 or 6 years.
So the West is not better than the East?
No, the West is better than the East, but what I'm saying is like,
so it would be tougher to win out West than in the East.
Yeah, but the Suns are already on the top. Is what I'm trying to say. Is like the talent is already there. They already have their team in play.
You think this team is as good without him?
What are you talking about? Without CP3?
The Suns.
No,
you think they're
CP3
playoff...
makes it go. Yeah.
Okay, or without a guy like Crowder. You know what I mean? Like those 2 acquisitions right there is what is really making this team, in my opinion. Like they're still a good up and coming team. Bro.
Come on.
Yeah, but he
phenomenal brand.
He is phenomenal. I'd love to have Devin Booker, but he's not ready to carry the franchise. Is what I'm saying.
No.
He could drop 55 in a game. They might not win it. They got a better chance of winning it now with veteran leadership like Chris Paul. But I'm not going to argue that the Knicks are a better team than the Suns. Or with Chris Paul, we're a better team. Maybe we are, maybe we're not. Maybe we're in that same window. But we're definitely an improved team. And as far as like chances of getting to the finals, I think it would be equal with Chris Paul than Chris Paul with the Suns. If not, we might still have an edge. Another reason why it wouldn't be bad to go to do this situation, because and to get one of the better elite point guards other than Chris Paul, we're gonna have to trade for him, which means we're gonna lose assets to get this guy in. So now we're talking about a rebuild, bringing somebody in for a rebuild with maybe 2 or 3 pieces in place, but we got to fill a full roster. We signed Chris Paul in free agency. Let's say we give him 30, and that's on a high note. We still have 20 to 30 million in cap space to bring somebody else in, another star, or to spread that out throughout the contract. We don't lose RJ. We don't lose Mitch. We don't lose Randall. You know what I mean? Like, so we still have the pieces in play, and we'll still have the flexibility. Or if we don't use that 20 million in cap space, guess what? That's 20 million to absorb a disgruntled player, and we still have all the draft assets that we could combine to make another trade happen.
Let me ask you this question.
Hold on, but before you do that, I want to answer something that's in the chat. Ralph on Real, he says, Sim, are you assuming we lose Rose? No, I'm not assuming we lose Rose. With any point guard, the Knicks are going to pursue a point guard other than Derrick Rose this summer. I can guarantee it's going to be their number 1 priority, that they are going to pursue a point guard, a starting point guard this summer. It is their number 1 priority. That does not mean that Derrick Rose is gone. I think they want Derrick Rose to continue to be a bench point guard, to come off the bench, give you 20 to 25 minutes a night, playing at a very high level, a 6th man of the year level, playing as a point guard who got votes for MVP, which Derrick Rose did. But could that
dynamic work? But could that dynamic work together? That's my question.
Why not?
I'm just, I mean,
they're not going to see that much time on the floor together, right? So you construct a starting 5 around your starting point guard, or with your starting point guard that works, and then another 5 with your second group that works, and then obviously you want them to be able to intertwine and be able to mix the lineups, right? But you're likely not going to have, let's say it was Chris Paul and Derrick Rose on the floor together.
Nope.
Derrick Rose is not coming in to try to be the leader. He took that role this year because he had to. I think Derrick Rose is cool with being, you know what? I'm here. I'm going to give you my experience. But if somebody else is the leader, that person can be the leader, and I'm gonna play my role. I think it can work.
And you know what else is beautiful? Something that we didn't get to see this year, and this is not Elfrid Payton hate, but Elfrid Payton couldn't run a lick with the second unit. That's why when he lost his starting job, he lost his spot in the rotation,
Right?
Because he had no other value to this organization.
Right.
You got a guy like Chris Paul, he could run with the second unit and help them. You know what I mean? It won't be a hinder at all. So that's another positive of having a guy like that, because whoever's on the floor with him is going to benefit. They're going to play better.
Let me ask you this question. You mentioned, because you brought up a point about, trading for a premier point guard and giving up assets, or signing CP3, if we can get him in free agency. Right now, current situation, who do you think gives us more wins? If we were to go out and get a guy like Damian Lillard, or we go out and get a guy like Chris Paul?
The only problem I have with Dame is now you want to talk about a situation of, is the team he comes to on New York going to be a better team than the team he left in Portland? Right? Because we get Dame, who's left on our team besides Randall? Randall's pretty much the only guarantee that I could say that, hey, they're not gonna ask for him, and they may ask for him, but I doubt it. You know what I mean? But he's the only guarantee that we could say, nah, you're not getting Randall. RJ's going to be on their end of the table, 100%. Whether we budge on that or not, we would have to see. But even if we keep Randall and RJ, who else is guaranteed to be kept? You willing to give up everybody else? Because it may take that.
Listen. Getting. For me, the answer to that question for me is Damian Lillard. That's the answer for me. But he comes at a hefty price.
He's a premier player.
I'm not lying to anyone. I would love to have Damian Lillard in New York. I feel like he is built for New York City.
Exactly.
He would, listen, with Julius Randle,
office, bro, every game.
Exactly. With Julius Randle having the season he had, he was the king of New York. Nobody cared about Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden. Imagine if Damian Lillard is in New York. But that man gets paid a lot of money. And it's not about the money. It's not about the money. It's about, like, if he was a free agent and you said, I'm going to pay him this, that's one thing. It's about, like Tony said, how much are you giving up?
Have to give up a hefty price. Yeah.
And how good can you make your team with what you got to give up? I think that's the big question. That's the big question.
Let's just say we do have to give up everything except RJ, except Randall.
Okay.
How much money is that right there? If you what Lillard makes?
Lillard?
Close to 50?
Lillard, let's put it like this, man.
Close to 50, right? Let's just say 45.
In his last year, he's making 57 million in his last season. I think he makes 47 next year, something like that.
So 47, 67, 70. That's about 77, maybe 80 million between the three of them.
Yeah.
We got to fill up 10 more roster spots. We're about $30 million.
Yeah. I mean, listen, here's the thing. The only thing is, though, is, you look at the Brooklyn Nets, they got all their money.
Yeah.
All their money is invested in three players, and then they got other pieces around it. You bring in the players, other players will come.
Yeah.
You bring in the players, other players will come. A
lot of 1-year deals.
But you're still taking a chance that they're gonna come. You're still taking a chance. When you look at Damian Lillard's contract, man, in 2021, 2022, he makes $43.7 million. In 22-23, he makes $47.2 million. In 23-24, he makes $50.7 million. And in 24-25, he makes $54 million. So, excuse me, I was wrong. I said he made $57 in his last year. He makes $54 million. Lot of money. A lot of money. Not that it's and like I said, it's not the money. The money isn't the issue. It's not how much you're paying him. He's not a free agent, so what do you got to give up to get him? That's, and it's not even about, oh, you guys don't want to give up Emmanuel quickly for Dame. You don't want to give up. Oh, it's not about that. It's about, can you construct the team? That's the question. Yeah. And if the Knicks can find a way to do it, I'm saying bring them here. If they can find a way to do it and construct the team, then yeah, I want Dame Lillard. I ain't gonna lie to you.
I don't care about draft picks, and if we can absorb most of the money, which we can. So if it's about giving them draft picks, they can have all the draft picks.
That's what I'm saying. We got. I mean, and that's more likely to rock.
And their pick of 2 players. But if they're trying to gut us, then that's where I get a little weary. Because again, we players will want to come here. They will take pay cuts to come, but we don't know who those players are. We don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what? Let me get to a couple of phone calls, man, and see what the people think. You can call in 516-405-2246. I want to get your take on it, man. Chris Paul, really, we just had a little conversation about Dame Lillard, but we're really talking about Chris Paul.
Yeah.
And if you would give Chris Paul 3 years, $90 million to play for the Knicks and lead the charge. I want to know what you guys think, ladies and gentlemen. 516-405-2246. And in the meantime, while we're waiting for some people to call in, I want you to remember that this video is brought to you by Flagship Resorts in Atlantic City, ladies and gentlemen. And on July 29th, at the Flagship Resort, we will be having a NBA draft party. It's going to be dope. It's going to be dope. Look for more information coming very, very soon, ladies and gentlemen. Be an NBA draft party at the Flagship Resort in Atlantic City. The draft starts at 8 o'clock. We're going to start the party about 6 o'clock. We're going to have live podcasting there from people that's on the panel, maybe some people other than who you see on the panel. It's going to be dope. It's going to be really dope. Tomorrow, I wanted to have it tonight, but I ended up having a meeting at 8:30 that took me, went a little bit longer than expected. But tomorrow, I'm going to shoot you guys out a link, and I want to know who's interested in showing up in Atlantic City so we can just kind of get a count and understand how many people might be there. It's going to be super dope. Looks like people don't want to call in. Here we go. We got somebody calling in. Let's see what they're talking about. Call you live, man. Tell me what's your name, where you're from.
Hey, Damian. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How you feeling?
Pretty good. So my name is Candy, and I'm from North Carolina.
All right. So what do you think, man? We got a lot of people. We get a lot of people from North Carolina. But what do you think, man? What do you think about Chris Paul?
Well, I've watched Chris Paul a lot over the years. I've been in North Carolina for a long time, so I watched him at Wake Forest. I've always been a big fan of his. He's good at elevating the players around him. Like, he can make a role player look like an above-average player. He's just a good floor raiser, and I think if we got him somehow, you would see improvements in RJ's game. He would open up the floor for Julius Randle. He would have a tremendous impact on all of our young players. I think he could teach them how to win. He's a very good leader.
And no doubt about that, he is. He's a very good leader. I just wish we would be getting him, 3 years younger or something like that. You know what I mean? But he's a very good leader, and no doubt in my mind that he would help teach RJ, Randle. I mean, if we had him on the team this year, you know what I mean? We'd be looking at a different story in the playoffs. No doubt about that.
Oh, yeah. I think we would have won the series if he had Chris Paul this year. He would have found a way to get it done. I think the only problem with Chris Paul, like you said, is his age. You just never know when his body's going to break down. Like in the Lakers series, when he had that minor injury, it could have ended their season, but they were lucky to get through it. I think that's the biggest risk with Chris. You just never know when he's going to go down or if he's going to hold up.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing. But, like Tony and I were discussing earlier, if the Knicks were to pursue and get Chris Paul, they'd probably take the type of approach that the Nets have taken with, Kyrie, KD, and James Harden and those guys to make sure that they're healthy,
Yeah, he definitely would have to do load management, Chris, due to his age. I feel if the Knicks somehow were able to get him. But I wonder who the Knicks could give up for him. Because I know Chris has a big contract. I think that would be also a challenge to move around.
They wouldn't have to give up anything because, and assuming that he opts out, right? There's the rumor out there that he may opt out of his contract, and assuming that he opts out, the Knicks wouldn't have to give up anything because he'd be a free agent.
I see. There's actually a rumor I like to tell you that's going around here. North Carolina, the Hornets are my home team. But I've heard that they would be willing to offer Terry Rozier for Mitch Robinson in a swap.
Huh. Well, it couldn't be a straight swap because of the money that they make. Mitchell Robinson only makes $1.8 million, and Terry Rozier makes like just about the same amount of money as Julius Randle. So the Knicks would have to throw some other pieces in there to make that happen.
No, we got the cap space. That's the thing.
Well, we got the cap space, right? We got the cap space. Yeah, we do have the cap space to absorb his contract.
Mitch is like a free agent, so it would be like a sign and trade deal. Because I've heard that they want Mitch, and they're interested in some other centers because they desperately need an athletic center right now to pair up with LaMelo on their team.
Right. Hey, I don't know. I'm pretty sure. Listen, this is going to be an off season where it seems like every off season now there's a lot of movement. You know what I mean? This would be another off season where there's a lot of movement, man. Hey, I appreciate your time and I appreciate your call, man.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Have a good one. Look, the Knicks are going to be in the market for point guards, ladies and gentlemen. So there's going to be a lot of stuff go around about the Knicks and point guards. Let's get to another call. Caller, you're live. Give me your name, where you're from, what's popping with you. I guess this caller don't want to talk about Chris Paul because they didn't answer the bell when it came to him. Anyway, man, I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens. We'll see where it goes. And,
either way, we need to upgrade at the point guard position, like you said.
Yeah.
That's absolute. It should have been the focus last year or before the season started, in my opinion. I mean, I think they wanted to see what they had in Peyton, and maybe they could see, maybe they felt like a Rose deal might be down the line, but.
Well, I don't even think they wanted to see what they had in Peyton, to be honest with you. I don't think that was it at all. I think they were in the market for a point guard, just like they're going to be this summer, and they didn't want to pay the money for other stopgap point guards. So they said, we'll pay the money for Peyton because we don't want to pay 2 years, $15 million for Rondo. Right? We'd rather pay 1 year, $5 million for Elfrid Payton. Right. I think that's the reason why. I think that's the reason why Elfrid Payton was still on this team. I don't think it had to do with giving him a let's see what he can do. I think they knew what he could do.
Mm-hmm.
I think they knew. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you guys' time. All right, we'll see what happens with CP3 if he's available. I expect that the Knicks are going to pick up the phone call and see what's going on there, right? Sure. Leon Rose loves Chris Paul. Leon Rose knows Chris Paul. He, like Tony said, he knows everything about Chris Paul. If he's a free agent, Leon Rose is making that phone call. You can guarantee it. You can guarantee it. There's no doubt about it to me.
And not for nothing, I believe he's still with CAA, so it ain't even like he really got to make a phone call. Like, you know what I mean? He don't got to dial 7 digits. Let's say that. You know what I mean? He just got to press one button. And, the bat phone rings and Chris Paul picks up. Yeah.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be a lot of talk about point guards. We're going to do an entire show on just the point guards. I want to get through tomorrow. We're going to be doing part 2 of the season grades. And once we get through that, we're really going to focus in on the off season, free agency, the draft, everything. You know, keep him or dump him. Who we keeping? Who we dumping?
I love that segment.
We're gonna focus on all of that, ladies and gentlemen. I want to get through these season grades first, bring that to a close, and then we'll take care of all of that. The entire offseason. We got a lot of stuff to talk about this offseason. Knicks content is gonna be popping all summer long. You can believe that. Any last words you want to end this with, Tony?
Nah. Shout out to the chat, Slim. I appreciate this opportunity. Nate, keep doing your thing too. Your blackest time. That's it.
No doubt. Nate?
I'm telling you, this offseason is going to shape the next 4 years of this team because there's a lot of big decisions that need to be made this offseason that I'm really going to be looking at as far as how the direction is going to go forward for this team. And, there's no doubt that we need a point guard, and hopefully we'll get it done.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Hopefully we get it done. That's going to be the number one thing for the New York Knicks. That's going to be the number one thing this summer is getting a point guard. You can guarantee that. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your time. We are heading up out of here. Remember, check the link in the description for the flagship resort. Just pay attention because more information is going to come out about the draft party. I know the draft is going to be I'm assuming Brooklyn, but we're going to be in Atlantic City having a good time. We want you to be there with us having a good time. So be on the lookout for that. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please make sure you subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell so you'll be notified anytime I go live, drop a video, and all of that. And check this out. If you're on Newsbreak, I know some of you are on Newsbreak. I know some of you get the notifications on your phone that updates you with all the local news that's going on. Well, guess what? If you're on Newsbreak, I'm on Newsbreak as well, giving you Knicks content on Newsbreak. So search for it. It'll come across your phone. I'm pretty sure it will. So pay attention to it. If you don't have Newsbreak and you want it, there's a link in the description where you can sign up for Newsbreak. It doesn't cost you anything. It's free of charge. It's an app on your phone where you get all your local news, ladies and gentlemen. All right. I'm out of here. I appreciate your time, and I'm out. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's number one show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.